What did you just say?
Salami-toothed. I was snacking on your spread. Oh. Wait.
That's a spicy start.
That is a very spicy salami start.
For anyone who's just listening, we actually do have salami on a charcuterie board in front of us. That wasn't a euphemism for anything.
Much better way to say it. But we do have video now. Had you?
Yeah, you can tune in and actually see that we are in fact just sitting in front of a charcuterie board here at Top Tree Studios, high above the Sunset Strip.
Yeah.
Shout out to Top Tree and our friend Mark.
Producer Mark.
Producer
I
Mark.
just got nervous right before we started that I had salami tooth.
Yeah.
Because of the spread I was snacking on.
And then I was going to, this went somewhere totally different because of how weird you were when you started it. But you said salami tooth, and I immediately thought of like when I was a kid, I was really fascinated by mastodons and saber-toothed tigers and stuff. And you said salami tooth, and I just pictured like some prehistoric mammal who was like, I don't know, covered in salami or
tiger.
Yeah, a salami-toothed tiger.
Like mortadella tusks.
Yeah, exactly. Like you've seen, like,
fangs.
you know, have you ever seen some of the prehistoric sharks where their like teeth were like actually in the shape of a buzzsaw or something?
Whoa.
Maybe salami tooth would, just have tusks made out of salami.
You're going to the Natural History Museum?
Yeah, and here's the fearsome salami tooth who roamed the Bornean forest 10 million years ago.
Would really only hang out with vegetarians.
Yeah.
Tough to be a salami tooth around all those predators, those carnivores.
Yeah, I guess you would just get snacked up.
You get super snapped up. You'd be the Jabba the Pizza Hut of the prehistoric kingdom.
That's why they went extinct. There's no more salami tooths.
None.
Not in our
What
era.
up, Mary Jane?
How's it going, Mike?
Awesome. Welcome to Weed and Grub, everyone. This is a podcast about comedy,
Cannabis,
culture,
cooking,
calling shit out,
and
spreads, charcuterie,
and
crypto.
spreads. And it's so much information in this awesome pod.
Yeah.
We've got a fantastic guest.
Liz is very smart.
She's smart, and we hopped around on so many neat topics. I feel like we did a little island hopping with her.
Yeah.
You know?
Can I get one of those?
Oh yeah. Shout out Sumo. I was gonna dip one of these sumo snacks into this tzatziki that I have here on this charcuterie spread. It's a little bit of a, weird assortment. I don't know if tzatziki normally goes on a charcuterie board, but I added it.
So I think that if you're going to have like spicy meats, you need a cool cream to
Yeah.
balance it out.
I feel you on that.
So yeah, I'm with it. How is a sumo snack with tzatziki?
It's great because it's the ranch flavor, and so it complements it perfectly. So good.
Man, these are rock, man.
I know. I love sumo.
10 milligrams per pouch.
all the flavors.
SumoSnacks.com.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, one more.
So good.
Sorry, keep talking while I keep snacking.
I'm going to have a piece of salami.
All right, then everyone's just going to have to hold on.
We're just listening to us eat. Well, that's what you asked for when you tuned into Weed and Grub.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Anybody who's joining us the first time, I wonder what it's about. Oh, they just kind of eat.
They get high and eat food and do bits.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Really quick. Oh, Mark is saying it's like sorry for how is it in your ears, Mark?
ASMR. Mm-hmm.
Oh, took his pants off.
Oh,
All
wow.
right.
Great. That's our listenership.
Yeah. Weed and Grub ASMR.
Do you want to hear people chewing salami?
How often do you get people wanting you, like I know that you're not on OnlyFans,
I'm not.
but I'm going to be honest, and I hope you don't, I know you're going to blush. You're already covering yourself with a pillow.
I'm hugging a pillow.
You're already hugging a pillow.
I'm bolstering myself. Get it? That was a pillow joke. Okay.
You're
Come
so
on.
nervous about what I'm about to say because
What
I
are you
brought
going
up
to say?
OnlyFans.
You're talking.
Everyone knows you have cute feet. Everybody DMs about wanting you to say specific words with your voice because you have a great like voiceover, close your eyes and say like filet mignon kind of a thing. So if you would just do like something with the lips and something with the toes, I think you would be like a millionaire by now. And I hope that's okay to say.
That's very okay to say. It's very flattering. Thank you. Do people want to hear me say things and then look at my feet? DM me. Although I'm not on social media, so I don't know. I guess find me on the street. Don't do that. Just we'll see what happens. Maybe I don't know. What would I do? I mean, I am fascinated by ASMR, and if I felt like I could figure out a way to break into that world, I would, but I just don't have I think it's a really specific skill set and knowledge of what people want, and I just don't have that.
It'll come across my TikTok sometimes as a
Yeah.
live stream, and it'll be somebody with like really beautiful manicured nails tapping on a very high-end microphone. And yeah, there's this whole dance to it. And I just picture a bunch of like dudes wearing blackout sunglasses behind curtains going like, oh, like that.
Well, I feel like for some people, it soothes their anxiety, right? Isn't that why people
Oh,
love
I
ASMR?
thought it was like a cum thing.
I don't think it's like porny. I think it's more a soothing thing. And some of
Oh.
the ones that have been coming across my feed lately have been like the makeup has really evolved. So now you're looking at people who do like really elaborate, really cool makeup and really cool hair, in addition to a lot of black light and like cool like pinks and blues and glowing. So it's also something that's really cool to look at. But then the sounds are, yeah, it's just
that you describe it as like life is beautiful inside your apartment.
it's totally like a trip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, had I known about that while we were all in lockdown,
Mm-hmm.
I probably would have taken a ton of mushrooms and gotten pretty deep into ASMR.
Yeah, well, there's still time.
Yeah.
We could take mushrooms tonight if you want and go down an ASMR rabbit hole.
If you're serious, I'm serious.
Let's do it.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm ready to stay inside and stare at a screen on mushrooms.
Great.
Wow, everyone's like,
No screens on mushrooms. That's sacrilegious. I mean, you can take mushrooms and try to look at a screen, and the mushrooms won't let you. I think in my
so.
experience,
Yeah.
I simply cannot.
It like taps into my like dog brain where it's like
Yeah.
no screens, go outside,
You just
smell
don't
the
want
air.
to. You don't want to drink alcohol. You don't want to look at screens. You don't want to do any of those things. I've tried to drink alcohol on mushrooms, and my body's like, no.
Yeah.
You know, like maybe a cold beer, a very, very cold beer, and it takes you, until the beer is warm to drink half of it. Like, that's my experience on mushrooms. It's wonderful.
That fucking rules.
Yeah. They won't let you be bad.
Do you have a news story this week?
I do have a news story. You want to get to the Grub Gazette?
Yeah.
So our news story this week is from Leafly, and it's a crazy story about a cannabis dispensary that was robbed in Washington state. And I just wanted to highlight it because, it's just sort of still pointing to what's going on with all of these cannabis businesses that are getting looted because they can only operate in cash because they don't have access to safe banking. So this story is on Leafly. The headline is, "My store was robbed on Tuesday. We're still recovering from the trauma." And the writer, it's a first-person essay about how the cannabis dispensary they work at was robbed again. So it's happened twice this year. It was an invasion with deadly weapons. I guess guns. That's so weird that they say deadly weapons. Yes, guns. Like, what else would you have? A bazooka?
Maybe. There's always that guy who shows up to the robbery. He's like, you guys.
Oh, you brought the rocket launcher?
Yeah.
We didn't need that.
Oh,
Damn it. You never get to play with my rocket launcher.
Daryl.
So it was the second armed robbery this year of this particular store. There have been 70 licensed cannabis stores that have been robbed at gunpoint in Washington state in the past 2 months. And they basically are being hit because people know that they have to operate in cash. They're cash-only businesses, so they're going to have cash on hand.
Yeah. Has anyone seen Ocean's 11? Like, not even a casino is safe. Can
Yeah.
you imagine like a store that is just ran by two people who have a dream?
Yeah, I'm just here trying to make a living, and I'm a sitting duck because of banking laws. So it also points out that the state has said to stores, quote, this is one of the sub-headlines, "Learn to be a good victim. State officials are aware of the problem. In late January, the Liquor and Cannabis Board sent an advisory bulletin to licensed stores offering, quote, safety suggestions that retailers can consider, including hiring armed guards, making frequent cash deposits, hanging signs."
Yeah. Do not rob. Classic
Yeah,
sign. Great.
It's like, yeah, I should just wear a t-shirt that says, "Please don't rape me," and that's going to make sure that nobody's going to rape me, right?
Yeah, totally.
Weird to make a rape joke in the middle of this, but it's like
But
the
we're
same
talking
sort of
about heinous
idiocy.
acts.
And the fucking idiocy of like putting the onus on the person who is at risk, I guess is my point. Like, you're putting the onus on the person who is at risk to not have that crime happen to them. And that's, I guess, why I brought up
Victim blaming shit.
Yeah. So it's like, it shouldn't be on the stores to have to prevent people from robbing them. We should stop the reason that they're being robbed and give them access to banking. And the story also points out state to stores, thanks for the $560 million last year, which is the amount of cannabis tax that Washington state collected from legal cannabis businesses. So the hypocrisy is just maddening, right?
So how can it be legal for the government to make a shitload of money, but it's illegal for you to have a safe place to put your side of the coin?
And this is the issue because the federal banking laws dictate that weed is still illegal under federal law. And so all of these big banks, including, credit card companies like Visa and MasterCard, won't do business with these state legal businesses, but the state can still profit off them. And these businesses pay taxes.
Fucking hell. And I don't know what I'm talking about, but our guest today, Liz, talking about blockchain, there's got to be a wiggle workaround within blockchain for the cannabis industry and say, kind of, fuck the banks, y'all. If you ain't going to play with us, then we're going to go around you somehow. Like that. I don't know what I'm saying, but you know what I'm saying.
I do know what you're saying. And I think, that's a big tie-in with cannabis and crypto is that cryptocurrency may be a safer way forward for some of these businesses to be able to, just operate safely without worrying about, having people with guns coming into your store and taking everything you've worked for.
Yeah. And also the fucked up thing about that too is you'll have very staunch, small-minded government officials who will point to that and still say like, weed is a violent, heinous place.
Right.
Look at how we can't legalize this. You want gun runners running around, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, so that also fuels this like anti-legalization fire that is so incorrect.
It's nuts. So this story is on Leafly. It's written by Amara Barnes, who has worked in the cannabis industry for over 2 years. She wrote this great, first person piece that's really worth checking out. And, we just got to continue to point at the insanity and the hypocrisy of these banking laws. They're currently trying to pass legislation to make this no longer an issue. But, shit takes so much time in government and someone's always going to be against it.
Yeah. Like, stop being a bummer. How's that for a sign?
Oh, yeah.
Outside of a door. Hey,
I
guys.
just wear that shirt instead of the please don't rape me shirt.
Stop being a bummer?
Yeah, stop being a bummer is a better shirt. I'm going to get that.
Whoa.
Whoa.
I was about to complain about something, but...
Yeah. See my shirt? It says stop being a bummer.
Okay, let's do some fun shots.
Yeah.
It is hard when you're hanging out with friends and it's just like, I don't know, because look, the world is opening back up, but you keep reminding me that people are hurting. And I'm like, yeah, but I just want to talk about fun, nice things.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's hard. Like if you're communicating important information to me that is correct, like about the war in Ukraine, you're allowed to be a bummer because that is bummer information that you can't like candy coat or, spoon feed me. You're allowed to be a bummer.
Bad facts, but meaning they're like sad true facts.
True facts can be sad facts.
Okay.
But wrong facts cannot be sad facts. You can't be a bummer if you're wrong. Or you can't be a bummer and wrong at the same time.
Okay.
Like you can either be a bummer or you can be wrong. But you can't be a bummer and wrong at the same time, is what I'm saying.
That's the Venn diagram. To be.
That's the overlap in the middle is that if you're a bummer and you're wrong at the same time, then you're not my friend.
That's the shirt. Yeah. The shirt isn't don't be a bummer. The shirt is what now?
It's
the Venn diagram of your friendship?
It doesn't say please don't rape me.
Okay.
And it doesn't say don't be a bummer. It's a Venn diagram that says you're a bummer and you're wrong. And when they overlap, it says you're not my friend in the middle.
Fucking, that's a good shirt.
That's a negative shirt.
Yeah, but it's also like fair warning, y'all.
I don't want to walk around with a shirt that says you're not my friend because you're a bummer and you're wrong.
It'll put everyone on their heels. They better bring some like kind heat.
It's a good thing I'm not on social media. Nobody wants to follow this right now. I'm a mess.
I don't know. Just because like nobody like, I don't know. I think you're better not being on social media. I don't mean I like you more. I just mean like everyone's better without it.
Yeah, I certainly feel good without it. But
there
I might
wouldn't
have
be
to
anyone
hop on
named
there.
Marjorie Taylor Greene who would have any kind of momentum at all if it wasn't for social media.
That is true.
So,
Yes.
I think that if anyone's to wear, like she would never fit that Venn diagram.
She's a total bummer and she's always wrong. The Venn diagram is just one circle because those two circles fully overlap. So it's just like a big circle called Marjorie Taylor Greene. And then it's like the no sign, just never, ever with you and your fucking weird Jewish space laser, insane fucking racist, crazy tiny eyes, CrossFit, Jesus thumping weirdness. Get away from me.
Get away from me. Unreal that she has a platform.
Sorry, I hate her so much.
Yeah, it's all good.
I'm
See,
so
this
glad,
is when you're not a bummer. You're right and you're fun while talking shit. That's my kind of friend.
And there's the Venn diagram, that overlap is your friend?
Yeah.
Fun and right?
And talking shit.
Yes.
Yeah, it's more of an Olympic ring situation.
Oh, cool.
Like, yeah, my code of ethics, talk shit, have some fun, be my friend.
Cool.
Yeah.
I'm into it.
Awesome. Before we get to Buds of the Week, or while we do Buds of the Week, do you want to do some popcorn taste testing?
Oh yeah, let's do some popcorn. Here, I'll grab it. Or do you have it there?
I have it right here.
Oh, nice. So this was the coolest find at your friend our friend.
Yeah.
Stephen Kramer Glickman's birthday
Gustavo
party.
from Big Time Rush, Pigeon Toady from Storks. I'm sorry to interrupt, but I feel like I just love the guy. Check out Nighttime Show Podcast. It's another podcast I'm on with him, Mike Black, Matt Walker. We talked to a lot of people from Star Trek, all kinds of things. And we were at his birthday party at the Disney Train Barn.
Yeah.
And John Stamos was there.
LA is wild, man.
LA is weird, man.
I was like, what's happening right now? I'm eating this delicious cupcake looking at John Stamos while people ride a tiny train. Like, I don't need drugs. This is my life. And the drugs just enhance it.
That's the truth.
But I don't need them.
And there was a guy there who, on Sweetser Street, which is a street here in LA, he is making designer gourmet popcorn. He gave us some to try on the air. So while we do Buds of the Week, we were going to try some.
Yeah, I got to try. I'm so excited to try this banana pudding.
And I'll try the shakshuka.
Yeah.
Shakshuka is the tomato sauce egg dish, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
One of my favorite things to eat for breakfast. If you're ever in New York, Cafe Mogador has an amazing shakshuka. One time I was there and I saw John Voight and I debated whether or not to yell at him.
Wow. Oh, was this when he showed his colors?
Yeah, it was like after he got all weird.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess he's always been weird, but then we found out how weird he was. So this is banana pudding. I'm going to do some more chewing in the microphone.
I'm doing shakshuka.
Sorry, Mark. Producer Mark is like,
holy
oh my God.
shit.
This is delicious.
This is delicious.
Is it? Here, let's swap.
Shakshuka is like, so if you taste popcorn, the thing is that popcorn is naturally and expectedly either salty or sweet because of caramel corn. Mm-hmm. In this case, savory popcorn, love the texture, but it definitely, you can taste like the herbs and you can taste the tomato.
That's nuts.
It's nuts. It tastes like shakshuka.
This is nuts. I actually prefer this to the sweet.
You do?
Because it is a little sweet, but it's such a crazy experience.
Yeah. That's
unexpected.
Fun.
Wow.
Oh, and this has little vanilla wafers in it?
Wow.
Yo, Sweetser.
Sweetser Gourmet Popcorn. They're at sweetsergourmet.com. I imagine that you can order some online to come to your home. He's got crazy, amazing flavors. We also got a bag of French toast that we'll have to try when we're not chewing in ears.
Yeah. Oh, I just want to say one more thing about this banana pudding one.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've ever had like Runts or any banana candy, but it's fucking disgusting. Nobody can do banana right, and I'm not sure why. It always tastes way too much of one side of the banana. He nailed it with this banana pudding.
It doesn't taste artificial, does it?
It doesn't taste artificial at all.
And shout out Runts the Weed Strain, because we don't mean that because you're delicious. Don't feel bad.
Yum.
Okay, Buds of the Week?
Buds of the Week.
Okay, I would like you to go first.
I will go first. He's my friend. He's a great comic. He just went viral this week that we're recording this on TikTok for the first time. And he does this great blog called The Sternal Journal. Julian Stern is my Bud of the Week. The Sternal Journal this week was, I don't have time to write this blog. I'm going viral on TikTok. And I watched it, and it's a really great clip about how OCD he is and how people talk about being OCD, but they're not really OCD. You want to know real OCD? So check out Julian's clip, because not only is it like from a real place, but it's crazy funny. And then follow him on Instagram at Julian M. Stern. And check out the Sternal Journal. Every Sunday night, you get a fun thing. It's got, I'm sorry, I'm drooling from this popcorn. It's got like music recommendations, podcast recommendations, books. He's an avid reader. He's just like an all around great guy, great comic. So check out all the things he does.
And he has one of the greatest jokes in his comedy special that we went to see him tape about farting at a wedding that I was crying. Like I peed myself. I laughed so hard. It was really fantastic.
It was really
very funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was an awkwardly timed fart with just the wrong person. And it's a really good story.
So that's my Bud of the Week this week. Man, I'll tell you what, recording the interview before we record the intro.
I know we smoked that El Blunto. And
I am stoned and hungry and eating, and it's fun.
It's great. My Bud of the Week this week is at Glazer Boo Hoo Hoo. It's his birthday week. He's my podcast co-host and partner in crime in life in so many ways, and I'm so grateful for you. And it's Aries season, and you're doing so much cool shit. I'm so excited for all of your comedy shows coming up. Check out his Linktree and his Instagram bio to make sure that you come see him if he's coming to a town near you. He's the coolest. He holds me accountable and gives me a hard time when I need it, and is just the best, most fun hang. I love like unspooling with you, and I am so grateful to know you and have this journey, that we're on together. So you're my Bud of the Week, Mike.
Holy shit, Mary Jane. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Also, I think we're celebrating. We're coming up on 300 eps of this crazy podcast, and I wanted to shout that out too. It's a little bit of like a Weed and Grub birthday happening.
Yeah. Wow. Damn. Yep. Thanks. That feels really great. Like that's what this podcast is about.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Buds.
Yep. You're the best, Mike.
Thank you.
Let's get to our VIP.
Our very important Bud Liz.
Not to squash that, because I like sitting in the glow with you. But our VIB this week is Liz Whiting. Liz is an incredible entrepreneur, marketing maven, content creator, all around great person, advocate about so many great things, and it's a really cool combo. So
I learned a lot.
Yeah, so glad to catch up with her.
Cool. Without further ado, Here is our interview with
Liz Whiting. I'm so glad we have video for this because, Liz, you have brought an assortment, an array, a bag full of weed goodies to share with us. And I don't think we've ever had a guest come on the pod as prepared to like dive into what you love about weed as you are right now. So
I do love weed.
I mean, you really love weed.
so many cups are on this table.
There's a lot of variety. I like to make sure that wherever I go, there's something for everyone.
People follow you to know what's good in weed, right?
I guess so. I would say maybe they follow me for like some of my content is kind of cringe, and maybe they follow me for that. But I do hope they follow me for weed recommendations as well.
I did just watch a very funny reel where you were smoking a joint in your car, and then there was like a car coming around the corner. What was that movie?
I don't actually know.
It was like a
It
car
might have
crash
been a
like,
James Bond one.
Yeah,
Yes.
like The Italian Job or something.
Okay.
And then it's like POV you smoking your joint in the car and getting smashed into the river.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
I actually, so there's some content, you know, like with the algorithms, you always have to keep up with content. And so, I'm not going to lie, some days I'm like, I don't give a fuck about this. Like, this is a piece of shit content, and I'm just going to put it up because the algorithm.
Yeah.
But that, I was like, this is good content.
It was fucking hilarious. And so, yeah, I love following you on IG. I want to trace
I love that.
trace the origins of our story a little bit for our listeners. So you have a podcast called Send Us Flowers.
Yes.
And I just heard you talk about me, to bring it back to me, on your pod.
Oh,
and
this is why you wanted to start here?
Yeah, shut up. So
No, wait, look, let's be real. I love going to stuff because people give you presents and compliment you. And I love to give other people that treatment because that's my love language.
Yes.
Is presents and compliments. I also like quality time. So I love giving other people compliments.
And that's how you start out your pod.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I send people flowers.
and I got sent flowers by
I did.
Liz.
I sent her flowers.
And it was about the first time we met,
Mm-hmm.
which was however many years ago now. I mean, I was still at High Times.
Yeah.
So at least it had to be like 2018 or before.
Yeah, 2017, 2018.
Yeah. And we
Because
met.
it was right when I came out here.
You had just moved here and
Mhm.
you came into the office for a meeting and we met, and like I feel like we kind of like a little spark in our eye and was like, let's get the fuck out of here and leave all these like douchebags in their fucking corporate boardroom to be like, we're gonna fuck shit up in our own way as women in weed. And I felt that from you in that moment. And you have continued to do so. Like it's just been so I mean, you were doing it at that point with Daily High Club, I think, right? Is that who you were with?
Mm-hmm.
And it's just been so cool to watch you just make moves. Like Mike and I hung out with you at the National Cannabis Festival.
Fuck yeah, we did. You were covered in
That was
paint.
so
It was
much
so
fun.
much fun.
That was a great time. And I think I called to you guys like through a fence.
Yeah.
That was
Your
so...
finger was through a fence going like
yeah,
that.
I was like, and then I think I was like under it like, hey, I'm here.
You were like flapping wristbands around.
Yeah.
So you've got like your finger in multiple weed pies on multiple coasts, if that's an
Mhm.
okay metaphor to use.
Weed
Yeah,
pies in multiple
weed pies,
coasts.
Yeah,
multiple
you've got your
coasts.
Fingering multiple weed
Fingering
pies.
multiple pies.
You're a pie
Sure.
fingerer.
I'm a pie fingerer.
A weed pie finger
Glad
person.
that that's documented forever.
Okay, what are you doing right now though? Like what's your jam? You've got the pod.
Yes. So right now I'm working on my podcast, Send Us Flowers. It started because about a year ago, I've always kind of like delved into different, I guess, programming, you could call it. And I've had other podcasts in the past. I used to have one for music, and I would interview people in DC and like the music world. And then when I was at Daily High Club, we did more of like a live stream. And then I would also do stuff on my personal page and then other people's as that started growing. And then I started a marketing podcast like around a year ago, and I never really promoted it, but it just kind of like started.
You didn't promote your marketing podcast?
I know. I guess that's probably you know what? Can we edit that? That probably
No,
makes me sound
no editing.
so bad.
I just think it's great
That is
because
actually, I never thought about that.
but you found out where your heart lay was in a different way, right? And I think that, I mean, sorry to point it out, but like I think that you've found your way forward not through marketing so much, but through your love of cannabis, right?
Yeah, exactly. And so for me, it was I guess I did put it out there like a little bit on my Instagram, but it wasn't like the forefront of anything I was touching. And then I had to get surgery, and like my life very much shifted last year.
Are you okay?
I am. Well, I don't know.
Okay.
No, I'm okay. I'm okay.
Yeah,
I'm
okay.
okay.
Great.
Is she?
Just want to ask.
Like 49% there.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. We're 100% today.
Awesome.
But yeah, no, I am doing so much better. It like, honestly, that was like a life-changing situation. And I started, rebuilding the podcast, but I was like, I don't want to just talk about marketing. I do that all the time, all day, 24/7. And it definitely enters the realm of like some topics that are touched on. But I really wanted to create a podcast that celebrated especially women in the industry and diverse voices and put people, on a stage and say, hey, like here are just other stories of cannabis, because there's so many different facets of cannabis and different ways people use it. And I really feel like the imagery that's out there right now of cannabis, which has drastically changed over the last couple of years because of, how the legalization movement has happened in different states. But the imagery we've seen is very largely male dominated. And I just felt like, hey, there's other conversations happening, and I really want a place to feature those voices. So it's not even like, meh, like, no, men are bad. It's just because like I have men on the podcast too, but it's just a celebration of, more diverse voices and people that I think are really pushing this industry forward in just, different ways. Like I touched on policy work and content creators and people making women's health products and, what the Canadian market is like, and, talking about suppositories and like your periods and content creators and what like the content creator economy has become over the past couple years in cannabis. Like, what is that? That's crazy. That's never existed before.
Yeah.
And so, so that's why I, have been building that out. And I think the message has like started to evolve in its own way too. And I call it Send Us Flowers because I think that in cannabis, a lot of people, are here for different reasons. And at the end of the day, the one reason we should all be here is to have people, allowed affordable and accessible cannabis.
Yes.
Like at the end of the day, I know that some people, like everyone's like, I don't even care about cannabis. I just want to make money. Whatever. That's like for you too. It makes sense for people to have affordable and accessible cannabis. And so it helps create just like, an even playing field where we can send good energy forward and start the podcast too by, paying those flowers forward to someone you admire or someone who has like helped you. And so many people have said, different people in the industry or like their moms or like, a person who's really helped them get through something. And it always helps us kind of start the story of the podcast too. And I've heard such beautiful journeys. And it's been a very cool process. So that is a big part of what I'm doing right now. And I did love giving you flowers. That was such a cool moment. I really will never forget that moment. It was very vivid. We were in this High Times office.
Corporate ass boardroom on Wilshire.
Long
like
table?
It was crazy.
Big long
table. Oh
table.
my God, it was the biggest table.
Big
and
shiny windows.
I was so intimidated.
You couldn't, that room is set up to intimidate people. That's what corporate boardrooms are
it
for.
Worked really well.
And I had come from, I worked for High Times in New York when it was like a publishing company and an office that was full of weed and bongs and art. And then things changed and the company changed hands. And so by that point, when I was in that office, the company had truly, truly changed and I really didn't recognize it anymore. There we were in this corporate boardroom where we couldn't smoke, having a meeting about weed. And I was like, oh no. But yeah, I remember meeting you so well because I looked across the table at you and I was like, oh, we're going to know each other.
Yeah. And I hadn't seen another, I come from the East Coast. A lot of people know that by now. And you didn't talk about weed. You didn't post that on Instagram? Holy shit. Like, you tried to do anything to not have that on social media. And, like, coming here and seeing someone, not even someone, a woman openly write about it and talk about it in such a public manner and not in a way that was also, like, hyper sexualized. It was very different for me. It was totally a new world. I was like, whoa, this can exist in other ways.
That's awesome.
Damn. Damn, Mary Jane.
Whoa. I mean, this is about you and the stuff you're doing.
I know, but you're awesome. And
You're
so
fucking
it's very
awesome.
cool to be here and be talking about that and really come full circle. And so another thing, that I'm doing is I'm consulting now with different cannabis brands.
Yep.
One has been Gentleman Toker. They're out of DC. I really, really enjoy the team. I enjoy the message.
I'm on the editorial team.
Yes.
Full disclosure.
I know. I was like, I don't know if I should. But
Yeah.
And it has been so cool working with you on that and adjacently on certain things. It's been really wild. I came onto the brand last summer and have been, just helping build out their socials, helping build out their own podcast. That's been really cool. You were on it.
Yep.
That was a whole adventure in and of itself.
I know the three of us hung out in Palm Springs in some like weird recording studio that you found at the last minute. And that was another thing about like you handing things through fences or like flapping wristbands over like, VIP areas. That was like a last minute situation. We were supposed to record in one place and then you had to like book a studio because the equipment didn't work, whatever. I just remember.
Yeah, the equipment didn't work.
And you showed up and like you had a great outfit on and you gave us all coffee and you were like, here's this amazing studio that I booked in 5 minutes.
Yeah, that was gonna turn into a disaster, but it didn't.
Yeah.
And I was really glad about that.
I feel like you handle things.
And to your credit on handling things, you told me that you just said, I have to figure something out. And then you walked out of the room. So nobody knew that there were any problems because if you could come up with a solution, there wouldn't be too many cooks in the room. There would be no panic. If you can just go handle it and come back with answers, then everyone's happy. And then they'll just do whatever you say because it's the way.
Exactly.
It's so smart.
It really is. And it's such a woman in business move too. I feel like because just from my experience, I don't want to speak for you, but getting second guessed constantly, if you're making the right decision or not, if you can just handle it like a boss and then come back in and be like, here's what's happening without someone weighing in and being like, actually. Yeah. So,
or repeating you.
Or repeating. This just happened to us the other day. It was actually crazy. We were on a Zoom.
Guilty.
And I said an idea. And then the other person on the Zoom just repeated it like it was their idea. And you were sitting there.
I can't believe it.
And I was like, you just saw that, right? We just saw that. It was so funny. It was great. I mean, I think legitimately there is a small chance that they just didn't hear me and maybe I was stoned and I felt like they were.
Never the case. Don't ever think. See, because this is the thing. Then you start to wonder, you're like, did I say that?
Am I crazy?
Like, am I crazy?
Yeah.
And you always have to and then I'm like, I need someone to like validate the fact that actually happened. And it's really tough. I've had those experiences. I actually recently had an experience like that. I have them all the time. I can think of like 19,000 times that has happened.
Right. Moving through the world as a woman can be tricky.
They just like don't hear you.
Yeah.
I don't understand it. I don't. So sometimes I do wonder. I was thinking maybe I should get a soundboard. And I've been like legitimately thinking this. I talked to Mark about it actually, about getting a soundboard for the podcast, but I kind of just want one for life. Like to be like, guys, I'm going to say something. And then like, who the fuck isn't paying attention then? Like they have to listen. Imagine if you had a soundboard and like in the middle of something, like you just hear, oops, like
Liz, you have something to share?
Yeah, I like this so much. I do. There are different tricks. There is one great trick that I learned, and I can't remember. I think I learned it in theater school. It was like how to steal a scene, basically. Ooh. And it came from a scene where there was an actor who was just eating soup while the other person was talking, but they would like lift the spoon and then never take the sip. So gradually, everyone's focus is just watching this person who doesn't actually have any fucking lines.
Wow.
And so the tip was, I can't remember who told it to me, but I used to use it in editorial meetings when I was feeling like I have an idea and no one's listening to me. Yeah. And I would speak up and everyone would turn to me and then I would just hold until I made sure that everyone was looking at me, and I would just take the time. And if anyone would like try to take it back, I would be like, and I'd like do something to keep it, but like just a moment of silence.
Yeah.
So everyone hears what's coming next.
Yeah.
And it actually is pretty effective.
That's crazy because a word just came up into my throat because I was like, go, somebody say something.
Gotta fill it.
Yeah,
you can make it happen. There are different ways.
Fuck, that's powerful. Also sounds scary to try until you realize the power behind it.
Yeah, it's scary to hold it, right?
Yeah.
Like I know you know this from being on stage, like holding everyone in a moment of silence is possibly one of the hardest things to do at any time, public speaking or on stage or in a meeting or whatever. So yeah, it's kind of a power move.
Oh, shit.
No, we all just sit here in total silence.
Yeah, we all start to be like,
Yeah, I'm
Who's
powerful.
Yeah,
Like-
I'm powerful.
Who's powerful now?
I'm more powerful. I'm more silenter than you as I'm talking.
I'm the quietest. I'm the quietest.
No, I'm the quietest. Yeah, it's tough. Like, it's definitely been a learning process. Like, the way I honestly, so my mom is one of my biggest heroes. Other than that, I don't really believe in heroes, but I think there's amazing people who can be great examples of things. And one of those people is Ted Lasso. I don't know if you've watched that show.
Only the first season, but
Okay.
I loved it.
Holy shit. I usually never watch shows like that. I'm very much like, I'll watch The Office for the 90th time, and that's pretty much the extent of my like entertainment. And then I watched Ted Lasso and I was like, holy shit, I need to deal with everything in my life the way he does. Because like, if I can command a room and be that positive, no matter what the shit is going on in my life, like, that's really effective. And so I'm not going to lie, I really honed in on that. And I feel like when I can bring positive energy to something and really like, that's my way of kind of commanding the room, I think, is like saying, hey, like, maybe this isn't working out, but we can find a solution. And here's one of them. And if you don't like it, we can figure out a different one. But like, I do think that I've also been in experiences where people do, energy is like a hurricane. It can really shift. And so when you are a leader or you're working to be a good leader, I really feel that you have to be so aware of like the people around you and the things that you're feeling. Because if you're feeling stressed and have this hurricane of energy and you're like, oh my God, there's all these problems and we're never going to resolve them and everything is going to end and the world is going to end, then yeah, you're going to feel like the world is going to end. But if you're like, hey, this is fucking messed up, but like, we can fix it. It's like, oh, hey, you're like, hey, you know what? We can fix it. And not every solution is going to be permanent or the best, but like, at least there's something to like push you forward, and that forward momentum is always what's going to find the resolve. You staying stuck is never going to be what's finding it.
Yeah.
Damn. I'm going to eat some meat on that.
Eat some meat. And so can I have a lighter we should also get into some of the show and tell of all of the weed that you brought. That's an El Blunto.
Am I allowed to light this?
Yes, please do.
I love these.
It would be a treat if you lit that. Our friend Noah sent those over. That's his company. He's a friend of the pod, and he's doing great stuff.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of El Blunto. One of the people I recently had on the podcast was Eric Kahn, and he has a collab with them. And so we got to smoke it, and it was awesome.
Yeah.
And so now I love these things. I had the Papa and Barkley ones too, and this is the Claiborne one.
Mm-hmm.
I've been following all so El Blunto does a bunch of collabs for people who don't know.
Yep.
And I follow them very closely.
This is their latest. This just dropped.
Well, as you spark this, I feel like this is a very good episode to talk about the world of weed, because something I'm hearing you say is you have a lot of ideas in a lot of different areas, and because of the place that cannabis currently is, anybody who's interested in being involved, there's a million opportunities for them to try different things until they might land on something that speaks to their heart.
Mm-hmm.
And so in all of the areas you've tried, was this also in DC where you were like, yo, I believe in fucking weed, but I don't really know who I am yet, and I don't really know what I want to do yet, but I'm just going to start trying things and see where I land?
Yeah. So I started smoking weed in college. I attempted it once in high school, but I came from a family that like my grandma ran, or helped build out the DARE program in Montgomery County Public Schools of Maryland.
Wow.
So like I grew up, weed was the devil, and like I went to Catholic school, and like, you just didn't do things like that. Just wasn't even a conversation about like medical, like it wasn't a topic that was even talked about other than this is bad, don't do it, which is very
End
much
of conversation. It's not even a conversation.
No, it's not. Yeah, and that's it. And that's
it's
very
a fucking
much
gateway
like,
drug that's going to lead to you being dead or in jail.
Yeah, and all the sorts of terrible things. And so, that was the mindset. And then when I got to college, both the national conversation and the local conversation started to shift. And so I was dating this guy. He smoked a bunch of weed and I started smoking too. And I was like, hey, I really like this. But I couldn't figure out why, because I was also at the time
boss
feeling-
shit.
Yeah,
That was
that-
some boss shit.
French inhale.
Wow.
Love
You
it.
better be watching YouTube on this one because that is some boss shit.
This thing burns so nicely
It does.
too.
That's the thing. They burn so well.
Yeah. There, right there.
But yeah, so, you know, I was going through some health.
I also don't want to get kicked off YouTube, so I'm
Oh,
going to not smoke
Okay.
for a minute so we can actually use some of this content. Cool.
Oh.
Yeah, wait, should I?
No, do your
Okay.
thing.
No, do you think?
So yeah, you know, I was going through some health stuff at the time, but I didn't even know it was health stuff. Like, it was just random symptoms that kept occurring, like, you know, really bad pain, all this stuff was going on. And I just, like, I couldn't get help. I was going to doctors all the time, dealing with all these issues while also trying to, like, go through college, and, like, other family stuff was happening. But, you know, I was really turning to a lot of weed. I was like, like, this is great. Like, I can go on I would take a bong rip and go on a run.
Mhm.
Like, it was so amazing. And I was like, this shouldn't be what's happening, because that's not what I learned. That
Mhm.
wasn't what I was brought up, you know, with. And so I kept doing more research. I was also being diagnosed with endometriosis at the time. I graduated college, like, barely. I was, like, really trying to figure out what was happening with me. And I had to go in for an emergency surgery. I found out that I had endometriosis, which is just a horribly painful chronic disease that people have who menstruate. Well, I don't need, there's all this different research. We don't have to go into it. That'll be
No,
like
but for our
forever.
listeners who don't know,
Yeah, so it's a chronic. Sometimes I have a weird time talking about, like, people who menstruate or whatever, because there's a lot of different people who identify sexually differently, and so like
Mhm.
it's kind of tough to say who it affects. It affects many people, but largely people who menstruate.
Mhm.
And it can be extraordinarily painful. You essentially have lesions that grow on different organs.
Right.
And when especially you have your period, or I mean, just in general, if it gets bad enough, they get very inflamed. And so you're essentially, like, internally bleeding. And it's
Every
awful.
month?
Yeah. And so
Fucking hell.
but it can get to a point that it's so bad that it's not just on your period. So for me, like, again, last year, like, what happens is that anything just triggers it. And the flare-ups, it's not even like a period cramp. It's like someone stabbing you with multiple knives and then just, like, kind of twisting it and then setting it on fire.
Yeah.
And then having, like, red fire ants crawling all over your insides.
Cool.
I don't know if that was, like, descriptive enough.
And so
Yeah, one more example, please.
Yeah, so-
yeah, sure.
and so weed clearly helps with this, with the pain, and I imagine with also like
Yes.
just the level of stress that you're
Yeah.
experiencing.
Oh my gosh. Like, and so right after I graduated from college, I experienced all of that. It changed my life. I realized I couldn't hold down a job. Like, I wanted to be this, like, career woman. My mom is this, you know, amazing career woman. And I just, like, everything in front of me was halted, but weed was so amazing. And I hated using opiates. I hated, you know, then like drinking even started to really affect me. And I was like, oh my God, like, weed is this is fucking miraculous. Like, how do more women get access to this? Because, like, I didn't know about it. Like, people needed to know. And so I was like, I have to get into this industry. And so I started ordering. I lived in DC. I started ordering I-71 weed, because that's when all of that had just passed.
It's like 2016, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I literally would just ask every delivery driver if they had an opening or if I could talk to their boss. And I knew that, like, the scene was so small that eventually I would meet someone who worked for a company. And so I did. Eventually, like, you know, one of the CEOs drove by, like, dropped off some weed, and I was like, hey, are you hiring for any marketing
I love that in
stuff?
the I-71, it's the CEO who's dropping off your
No,
weed, because it's
seriously,
like
that's so- yeah.
yeah, it's like people are really doing it themselves. This is some DIY.
Self-titled CEO, but also has a company, but is
Mhm.
also delivering it.
That's the
No,
community.
exactly.
That's
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Really?
Mhm.
Wow.
Yep.
Sorry I'm repeating you,
No,
but I'm
it's-
just like, this is the first I'm learning about this
Wah, wah,
area.
wah, wah.
shout out.
Am I allowed to pass this? I
yeah.
can, but you guys. So yeah, it was very different. And then like things started progressing. I was looking at other companies. I met up with Harrison from Daily High Club, and then I started working for them. And then fast forward 5 years later, moved out to LA, like experienced all this like wealth of knowledge. I mean, I didn't even know what CBD was.
Right.
Like I quit cigarettes. I lost like 50 pounds. I had a completely different lifestyle, stopped drinking. Like I don't want to say like, oh, it was the weed, but it was a very helpful tool that allowed me to achieve those things.
Mm-hmm.
And so like, when it comes to health, I do love, weed. And I love
Yeah. But also
using
you
it.
love it enough that you want to work in it too. It's not like you found like a whole plant, I guess is the way to do it. Like a power plant for yourself.
Well, and it's such a different industry because and like why I feel like this industry is kind of the way it is lately is because you have these people like me, I'm like, I want this to be legal so badly for everyone. Like, I don't think that anyone should have an issue accessing this. And I think that that knowledge should be abundant. And I think that everyone should be able to at least know that this is an option and be able to explore what works for them in a way that is safe. And that can mean a wealth of things, but like, I just saw an opportunity and was like, this is not legal in every state. Like there are so many people who have endometriosis that can't get treatment where they are. It's so fucking expensive. The amount of money I have spent on healthcare and healthcare bills and surgeries and like alternative treatments and whatever is ridiculous. And so if someone can at least just go buy suppositories to get them through the month, like that would be life-changing to people who are addicted to opiates, who don't have relief, who can't get treatment. And so for me, I wanted to be a part of pushing that forward in some way, shape, or form. And so I had to kind of rediscover that mission, which I think a lot of people do, especially if you live in LA. You can get very caught up in like the LA-ness of things.
Yeah.
And
I don't know how else to describe that.
Yeah.
That's fair.
It's a very unique, like if you live in a big city though, like New York, it's kind of the same, but like LA is different. I've lived in all three cities and LA has something about it.
It's a totally different thing. Yeah.
Something I don't want to derail from but to like give context to the LA part for people, like there's something about it that I've learned this year as COVID has kind of like eased up a bit.
Yeah.
Where I can't do it all. I can't be everywhere.
No.
Nor do I want to be because I want to focus so hard on the things that I'm doing and that I believe in. That
so
hopefully,
distracted.
Yeah, I think, and there's an LA-ness to that, the distraction of being blessed to live in a place where weed is kind of falling off the trees in some ways. In other ways, it's
she showed up with
magically
a
problematic.
bag.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't do that in most places.
You certainly cannot.
Especially like brand, like I can tell you exactly like the terpene profile, the, percentage of THC. I can tell like, and I mean, that is,
yeah,
you get what you get eventually. Like, and that's still so the reality in so many places. And so for me, recreational weed is amazing. I think that should be accessible too, but I think all of it should be accessible. But like for me, it's just so key that people who have chronic illness, even outside of endometriosis, that deal with issues like there's got to be a different solution than opiates.
Yeah.
There just has to be, especially after, the last few years and the amount, not to get dark, but like the amount of overdoses that have occurred is ridiculous.
And I think on the sort of adult use / recreational tip, all weed, I've never been a real medical patient. Like I got a card when I moved to California and I've definitely treated my own sort of anxiety or PTSD with weed, but I've never really used it like significantly as in replacing a medication.
Yeah.
As I guess what I mean, like as a medical sort of, true thing that I need every day. But all use I've discovered, even my use where, I'm just choosing it instead of something else is beneficial.
Yeah.
And I think that that's like such an important thing that I really only like just when I lived in New York, I never thought of weed that way. I just thought of it as something to like fun to smoke at parties.
Right.
And now I've incorporated it into my life in a holistic way where I use it for sleep and I use it for hiking and I use it to slow down and I use it to be a better dog person with my little guy and I use it to, you know, enjoy a meal with friends. And so it's like, it's really a place like California giving you the moment to actually pause and infuse your whole life with it. I don't know where else that could happen. So that is a very special thing about LA.
It's so unique. And so I always tell people, and it's been a really common theme I've heard too with others who have moved here. You can do what you can with what you have where you are. You can. And I know I had to like think about that for a second.
Love it.
But you can. And everyone does that. You know, I know people who have started in Maryland, Florida, Texas, Arizona, wherever. But eventually you do I had to move.
Yeah.
And so until cannabis really is so accessible, like, stay where you are, make the change that you can make, but know that like you may hit a wall and that if you do move, it's not forever. You can get experience elsewhere. Like my main goal was to come out to LA and be able to bring that back to DC, which is what's happening now, which is so fucking cool.
It is fucking
like
cool.
It's so cool that I get to bridge those lives. Like there's so many like old contacts I've been, doing stuff with, and like a lot of people I know who I can now hire and bring into projects. Like it's so surreal. But that couldn't have happened if I didn't leave.
That brings me to something that I wanted to bring up, which is that I think you're sort of the next gen weed person, because my view, starts really in like the mid 2000s. And now watching you sort of come into the world and move the way you do in a sort of, your business, but you're an advocate and you're a patient, but you're also a fun person. And you just have like, you're very holistic. And I think it's very next generation in a very fucking cool way. And that brings me to the fact that you also know about like crypto and NFTs. And now I have to be quiet because I really don't know what any of that is.
Okay. Yeah. So another thing I have been doing is dabbling with some crypto work, and it's been really cool. I started
like weed crypto, right?
Yeah. And so I started I guess you could call it investing in crypto in like 2015, 2016.
Holy shit.
I'm not like, trust me, I'm not a bajillionaire. That'd be so cool though. But
I'm
not.
Cool.
It would be, it'd be sick. But, I started throwing in like a couple hundred here, a couple thousand there when I could, like, just like amounts that were at the time, like, okay, I can see where this goes. And, it was just such a fascinating idea. A friend was like, look, like, our generation, we're really like fucked, honestly. We are. Like, we're going to live a very rented life. Like, think about it. No one owns anything. All these banks are buying up houses. The way that people are building out, I'll go on a tangent. Forget it.
There's a good artitle that I haven't read yet, but I'm going to read that. It's the title of it is something because everyone has talked about it because it's like New York Times, and I trust the New York Times.
That is such a wow. That sentence is the most early 2020s thing I've ever heard in my whole life.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
I don't need to read shit. I just know what's cool.
I know the one you're talking about because
you're not going to own anything and like it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
Are we going to like that though? I don't know. I will have to read the article.
I would love to divest. Oh, I thought you were talking. There's a crypto explainer in the New York Times right now that I thought you were talking about.
I haven't read that either, but it's great.
I would love to own nothing. I would love to be as free as the wind.
Really?
But then it comes down to stuff that I do really cherish from people who are no longer here. Like I have memorabilia that I would never be able to let go because it's actually a talisman of some sort that connects me to a different part of my life. So in that sense, I don't want to own nothing. But I don't need to own new things.
I hear you.
Or meaningless things.
Would you ever want to own a home?
Own a home?
Own a home?
That is actually all I want. So
okay.
I take it back. I guess I'm just thinking about like, stuff.
Yeah,
like, commercial shopping stuff.
Yeah.
Wouldn't NFT be representative of that to you at this point in time?
I guess. Yeah. Maybe I should.
Because everyone's saying I should get one. Everyone's saying you should get one. Do you have one?
I do own an NFT.
Does it feel like stuff to you or does it feel like the future?
Okay. So I have I have some different thoughts around NFTs because I have seen this space for a long time. I'm not like, developer level, like in the code, like not at all. I have actually read books, plural, on crypto. I picked up a physical book and it's like multiple articles.
In one volume.
And I really do recommend to anyone who wants to be in crypto or like learn more about it, read the internet. I think it's called The Internet of Money. There's a few parts and it just talks about like foundational knowledge of crypto really, really well. And it helped me see like, over time, like a lot of people don't look at history like at all almost. It's really wild. Like we could probably just tell the future of all things. Like if you look at 1918 and all of the events that are happening now, it's basically the same.
The pandemic and the breaking out of the war.
Like,
and
what the fuck? That's crazy.
Yeah.
It's like a mirror, but just more technology. And so that's so hyper generalized. But anyway, it's so interesting because you look at how like the transfer of value has shifted. There's always different, like I can say this bottle here that I'm holding is worth X amount of dollars. But inflation or whatever, like, I can give this value and I can give it to you as a form of value. We could make anything currency technically. And that's kind of what you can do with crypto, which is really wild. But it's this shift of value and it's also scams. It's also, it's a new industry. So you're always going to have good and bad actors. And that's any industry.
Yep.
You look at cannabis, you look at music, you look at any movies, mattresses, look at PPE from them. Like, I'm serious. Like everything has good and bad actors. And so for me, like blockchain technology has been around for a while. This isn't new. A lot of, huge like credit card companies and stuff have already started using blockchain. But the way that crypto itself has evolved over the last 10, 12 years is really wild. Like you look at how Bitcoin was made, you look at the evolution of it being kind of this like drug money, like pizza joke, like people would buy pizzas with it jokingly. Like I know a bunch of people in college who bought fake IDs off of Silk Road with Bitcoin. Like that was my generation. Like that's so surreal. And so, then it was like the ICO season. And that was when a bunch of companies kind of like in early tech, like of the early 2000s, just were like, hey, we have this big idea and we might do it. Maybe, but give us lots of money and find out. And so there's a lot of these bubbles that kind of like, and this again is all very like hyper generalized, but that's because I know a lot of people don't understand it at all. And
I'm one of them. So,
so, again, like all of these projects have developed over time. Some are very viable, like will help you do things like invest. Like there's some really cool projects where you can essentially like pool together. Okay, so say us three wanted to buy a Bored Ape Yacht Club monkey ape thing, the NFT. Like it's a very, very popular NFT right now. It's worth like hundreds of thousands of dollars.
I know because I saw Paris Hilton show hers to, who was that, Fallon or Kimmel?
Which is so dystopian. Like, who would have thought we'd be getting our financial advice from Paris Hilton and Snoop Dogg right now?
She's a boss. He's a boss.
Like, it's nuts. Which, like, yeah. But, like, what? Who could have seen that coming? Anyway, so, there's...
Are you saying that all three of us could get a Bored Ape if we combine resources and that might be worth it?
Yes.
Cool.
Well, it could be worth it. But, so... we could all pool together and would have like governance. And so there's different components of crypto that are building toward this like autonomous landscape of finance. But the thing is that a lot of it right now is honestly marketing. Like I'm a marketer and I'm sorry, I have to tell on people a lot of this shit is bullshit.
Appreciate that.
And
I really do.
And
appreciate
it's really
that.
marketing. Like you see these celebrities diving in. It's because they're getting paid a fuckload of money. Like guys, they're not doing this for free. Like if you see Tom Brady hopping on something, come on, he just went back to the football field. Like all this shit is gimmicks. Like, and it's
and I was reading about how the ball that his final ball was sold as an NFT.
Yeah, and now it's like this whole issue because it's not his final ball. It's
So
really
wild.
crazy. And so, it's kind of disheartening because you do see these people who are like jumping in. And like, I know nothing about football. Like, I didn't even know that Tom Brady wasn't playing for the
I
Patriots
thought you were gonna say I
anymore.
didn't know he was a football player.
Oh, no, that would have been bad.
I've never heard of football.
And he wasn't actually playing for the Patriots. He was playing for Florida. Who is it? The Buccaneers?
Well, no, I'm saying like I had
Nice.
no idea that he had changed teams.
Oh.
Like I had no clue.
Wow.
Like could have forever been on the Patriots in my mind. But, it's crazy because he was like, oh, I'm going to stop playing football and go full into NFT. He specifically said, I'm going full into NFTs and crypto. And these are market manipulations. Like they really are. Like you see Elon Musk do it. And I get like everyone has their own opinion on which way things go. Like, the GameStop stuff that happened on Reddit, like that wasn't crypto,
Stonk.
but it is still, this same idea of like these crazy market manipulations.
Yeah.
And you look at media and it's all on media cycles at this point. It's really
I think that's why I'm very
It's
nervous
crazy.
to be involved or learn too much, because I know I'm never going to be an expert. And I know I'm also not at the top where these decisions are being made that I'm learning about retroactively.
well,
And so that's why
everyone's
like I
learning.
love weed, because it's like grassroots. It's us
Yeah.
hanging out, chopping it up. I know that there's like crypto weed and all of that, and I'm like all about it. But at the same time, I like that I have a sense of control and know-how from the ground fucking floor of something I
Yeah.
can hold in my hands.
Yeah.
And all this other stuff, the more I learn about it, the more confident I'm going to get, and the harder I feel like I'm going to get burned.
Well, so see, here's the thing. Like when you invest in an NFT, it's just like investing in a company. It's just like investing in a person on Patreon. All we have, like our generation in the world now are all these like micro investment opportunities almost. It's super weird. And
We have sponsors.
yeah, no,
Straight up.
exactly.
Thank you.
shout
to
out
them.
to-
Yeah, shout out.
Like-
And by the way,
No, Truly, though, we are a micro investment opportunity. We're,
Yeah.
Totally.
Yes, like Weed and Grub could eventually have an NFT, but it does. So the thing is that like this has become very commercialized and like sucked into this like weird vacuum where we've gotten so far away from kind of like the point of NFTs. But then it's kind of like this weird meta, like very high conversation of like, well, didn't we just talk about like how value can just be subjective and it's whatever you give value to? And so like through marketing channels, it's very much like art is life and life is art, of like this shift of value and what we put value toward and why.
I love it too because it's sort of, as you're talking, my
Crazy.
brain is like flipping over and doing
Right?
like,
It's like-
a tumbleweed down a road, but not because my head is empty, but just because it's flipping around.
Yeah.
But I can see why weed and crypto go so well together, because it's kind of like a fun puzzle to just keep following
Oh
in
my
your
God.
brain.
Yeah.
And every stoner wants to like, think about fun stuff that has no
Yeah.
end.
Yes.
That's the cool part about smoking weed and being like, I wonder. And then you just follow it to its logical
Yeah.
conclusion until you fall asleep.
Yeah.
That's
No,
awesome.
exactly. And so like the thing is though, like I'm still learning. Like so someone could be listening to this and be like, she just gave the dumbest explanation of what's happening ever.
No way,
Which-
man.
But like
It makes sense to me, and that's what I need.
and that's the thing.
Mark just
like,
did an air horn.
No, we have to.
to.
The thing is that like, and it's the same with cannabis. And this is a large part of kind of like how I like to describe my job, because I can do a lot of different things. I love
Mhm.
doing a lot of different things, especially in media and content and whatever. But like the true foundation of what I do is I help bring something to others in a way that is digestible. It's saying like, hey, what is this big idea? What is this big thought? And how can we bring it to people in a way that they may understand? And so like with cannabis, with crypto, it's like all these, terpenes. Half the world doesn't know what a fucking terpene is. Like half the world doesn't know what an NFT is. And so it's making these things more accessible to people. And that doesn't even mean like affordability. It just is like the knowledge of it. And so like even I only just recently bought my first NFT, and I'm not going to lie, I kind of bought it out of FOMO because I'm like, what if it does go up? Like you have to like all of the ads around crypto and stuff are so crazy. It's
Yeah.
like gambling ads almost. And it does run off of this like oh, my friend bought it. Oh, like Kevin
Yeah.
Durant bought it, or like
Keeping
this.
up with the Joneses.
Yeah.
Yes.
I spent 1,000 and
Paris
now I have
Hilton
10.
Paris
Yeah.
Hilton's showing it off on the fucking late night show,
Yes, like,
whichever one it was.
Exactly. All these people
remember.
being like, you know, when they hear I invested in like 2015, 2016, they're like, oh, you must be a millionaire at this point, you know, because everyone's like, if you invested $200 into butthole coin in 2013, then you would have 10 million butthole coins. And I'm like,
Oh,
and
man.
it's just like, you know, you can go play the lottery. And so, you know, don't fall for this FOMO. Like, my biggest advice to people, and this sounds so cheesy, but really, like, read, do research. Don't just jump into things because your friend asks you to. That is, like, literally kind of a Ponzi scheme.
Yeah.
Like, it kind of, like, just think it like that's such a Ponzi scheme, because I have to be like, oh, I need to make my investment worthwhile. So, like, hey, you guys, come and check out this investment.
Definition
We
of
can
a
all
Ponzi
be in the
scheme.
investment, and then we'll all get things back eventually, maybe.
Yeah.
And there are things that are working. So find projects that you like and are actually interested in. Do the research. And I know that that takes like effort and brain power, but then, you know, find groups of people that you trust, because also the community thing has become so what is the word? Like predatory. There's a lot of fake communities now around crypto because they want people to buy their project. They'll be like, oh, I'm going to foster this environment in this community. And then suddenly they're like shilling you shit. And it's like, oh my God, like
Weed too.
weed
Same deal.
fucking
Same
too.
deal.
It's the same thing.
I know I know we have to wrap, and I feel like
I
we
know.
have to
I'm
have
sorry.
you back
I could go on about crypto forever because
Part
it
one.
is so nuanced.
No,
yeah,
I
part
truly-
one.
I truly, we have to have you back because we have to do Weed Show and Tell another time with you, and we have to keep following crypto and have you back to like keep us in the loop.
Yeah.
because I'm never going to learn
Should
about
be
it.
wearing a mink coat, riding a scooter, and be like, NFT paid off. Y'all should have listened to me.
Yeah, right? No, that's so
And
fucking
you'll have
funny.
your fucking soundboard right there with you.
Yeah.
You'll have an assistant carrying your soundboard.
Ooh, I do need an assistant. I can't afford one though, but that would be great.
Well, let everyone know where to follow you and if you have
Yeah.
anything else you want to talk about.
So you can find me at That's Busy on Instagram. If my Instagram is up, you can also just Google Liz Whiting. That would honestly help my ranking anyway. So marketing speak, but you can Google me there, sendusflowers.com or at sendusflowers. That's the podcast. I have some really exciting April content coming up. So pretty stoked on that. And a new, I have a new line of designs that I
Whoa.
designed, and I guess that's
Like
design.
clothing?
Clothing, yeah.
Oh, shit.
It's all on my website now. I wanted to launch it for Women's and Endometriosis Month, but we're kind of at the end of it. It's still within the But basically, all the proceeds from anything that I put on the website and sell at the end of each month, I'm going to be donating a portion of the profits toward endometriosis research. And then I'm going to have a few different charities, and I'll send out a survey to anyone who purchased so that they can help choose which charity they'll send it to that month.
And where do the people get that?
Sendusflowers.com.
Dope.
Yep.
Wow.
That
That's
is all
awesome.
super new.
You're next gen. You're giving back. You're paying it forward. You're explaining shit to us. Please
Yeah.
come back. I need all these things in my
We're all,
life.
I mean, it's all learning together. That's the thing is like, I think once you say like, I don't know everything, because I don't, there's
course.
so much to learn. But when you're on that journey together, I think that's super powerful.
Yeah. We got to explain things to each other.
Yeah.
Mike explains things to me all the time. I mean, that's
And
one of
vice
the things
versa.
I love to do about this podcast is I learn about shit that I would just never know about unless I connected with someone who is very different from me. So, and that's what Weed and Grub is all about.
Yeah.
Follow us at Weed and Grub on Instagram. Email us things at wg@weedandgrub.com. Come see us at our live comedy shows in April. Please
So excited.
follow Liz in everything she does and her pod, and give our pods ratings, reviews, rankings, tell friends about it, all that kind of stuff. It helps us so much. And please come back.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, good.
I'm totally in.
We got to do Weed Show and
I'm
Tell.
going to bring the soundboard next time.
Okay.
We're going to, Mark, can we work on that?
Yes, he's got it. Thank you so much. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.